Dual, yes, you're very good. This is cool. Great. Well, folks, let's give it a couple more minutes to see people joining in. Hopefully you're staying warm. For some of you who are further out of state, maybe Bob Wiskirner can be the one who rubs it in by telling us how warm it is in Florida.
Yeah.
But for most of us, we're trying to make the most out of all stuff. I am going to try also to
63 here, Dave.
Oh, 63 at night, Bob.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, let's just qualify it.
Up in this morning, it was so hot. I had to take my jacket off, and I guess it was about 75 or 76.
No, you poor dear.
Very difficult life. Very, very difficult life. Well, it's okay. I guess we can all hope to migrate. I do see a couple of flocks of geese in a pond in my neighborhood. And so
I shot down.
that's right. That's when you wish you could actually go out there and then do some damage, if I call
In
it.
countries, it's called dinner.
Yeah, that's right. In certain countries, it is. Absolutely. Very well said. Very well said. And as for some of you who are seeing here, beside our members, we have a guest. Philippe Harkey is joining us as a guest and looking into joining a local flotilla. He has moved down, and I'll have him be introduced in a second. So too much technology here that's giving me notifications that our meeting should start. And I think we do have 16 people, minus Phil, who's a guest, and that makes us to actually a good number to do for quorum anyway. So we should be able to move forward. We do not have Mr. Poole that I see online at this point. Unfortunately, I have not received words that he is not being or will be here. Let me see if I got a text. I did just get a text. Sorry, folks. Nope, I got another one from somebody else. Okay.
David, you need to have a little flag at your desk.
Flag at my desk. Well, I was planning on bringing in a bigger flag, which is sharing my screen here. But my desktop is giving me a error. Zoom is not cooperating tonight. It's telling me that I do not have the ability to share my screen. Yeah, it says it won't let me. I have firewall issues. Okay. Well, we're all going to have to adapt. I want to go ahead and call the Flotilla 12-6's meeting to order and welcoming all of you for a brand new 2021. I am your incoming Flotilla commander. For some of you, obviously, you know me, but for Philippe Arke, who is visiting, that's a little bit different. But that being said, for the purpose of following the agenda that was sent out to people, I would like to go ahead and then ask that if you can stand, if not stand, but go ahead and let's call the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America,
the Republic, which
which stands one nation, under God, indivisible,
liberty.
with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you. And I will try to do a little bit more of the mimicking of what we should all be obviously observing if we actually were to have face-to-face meetings. COVID is certainly draining on us in multiple of ways, in many ways, and so I think that's we will have to adapt. And I am unfortunately not thinking that there will be a potential change. Next, I'd like to go ahead. We do not have a lay person. I do not see Mr. Poole. However, for some of you, there was a really nice note. If you have read the actual newsletter, I do want to commend Mike for doing an outstanding job. But not only that, people providing the information. Mr. Poole wrote an article this month, which I think was very inspiring note. We actually received a request from a Commodore from another area requesting that the article actually be duplicated into their own newsletter. So it's both the testament to Mr. Poole and certainly the message that he's brought. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is to just bow your head if you may or want, and then take a second. Maybe it's a moment of silence a little bit for both the people who actually may be on the way or may actually be in harm's way, but also to think a little bit about how grateful we are to also be here today. So please go ahead and bow your head. Okay. Thank you so much. So next here, what I would like to do is my message is to actually ask that we actually have individuals be voted in. So we have Susan White for obviously our guest. Susan White is our Vice Flotilla Commander, and I'm still going to go ahead, and although some people have had officer roles and responsibilities, I certainly appreciated that at the division meeting, we actually had the opportunity of still going ahead and then having the oath of office being recited, as well as reminding people. So as you know, individuals commit to service. Service has a lot of different variation meanings, but it can possibly happen without the actual work and effort and the dedication of individuals, like all the flotilla members, the individuals who've worked too hard, very hard throughout the years and continue to do so, but also having people step up. So obviously there's a process for elected officials, but there's also a process by which people may be seeking to actually make a contribution. And so I'd like to first go ahead and then actually have Susan, if you don't mind. I'm going to actually literally, the reason why I ask everybody to stand earlier, and that you don't all have to stand at this point, but actually have Susan stand up, because yes, we are in Zoom, and let's go ahead and still try to emulate what would be actually an actual official meeting. So I will actually usually ask Susan to come up to the front of the room, and then I'm going to ask her, and I'm going to be going ahead and then giving the oath or the officer's oath and reciting this before I even do the officers who've called there. So Susan, if you may, please stand up. And then I'm going to go ahead and for some of you who are new, dictate and tell a little bit about what that is. So you have offered, Susan, your talents and service in the interest of a better Coast Guard auxiliary. The pledge you're about to take admits you to an office of greater responsibility and high honor. Along with this honor, you must be prepared to accept certain obligations as well as the administrative and supervisory responsibilities of your office. Your task is to develop the auxiliary program to the maximum efficiency and conditions permit. You're expected to promote closer liaison between the auxiliary and the local Coast Guard units, constantly reminding auxiliaries that their actions reflect not only on the auxiliary, but also on the Coast Guard. As a leader, you're charged with maintaining high standards in all auxiliary programs and activities, never compromising honesty and integrity. So for everybody else, usually you'd be asked to rise. But what I'm going to do here now is, so I'm going to ask Susan to stand ready to put and raise your arm, and it says, your right arm up, if you could, and recite, as I will say in a second. With the full realization of the demand of your office in terms of time, travel, and dedication, and with all that you're willing to accept this honor, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Susan?
I, yes, I, Susan White,
Do solemnly and sincerely pledge myself
do solemnly and sincerely pledge myself
to support the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary
to support the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary
and its purpose
and its purpose
to promote its authorized activities,
to promote its authorized activities,
to properly discharge the duties of my office,
to properly discharge the duties of my office,
and to abide by the governing policies
and to abide by the governing policies
established by the Commandant of the United States Coast Guard.
established by the Commandant of the United States Coast Guard.
Great. Thank you so much, Susan. Congratulations. All right. So now I may actually call on all the actual FSOs for 12-6 who will be serving that are in attendance right now. And I'm going to go ahead and actually have Susan list them and their name in the FSOs in order in which they're present, because I have multiple screens. So maybe if you could just help me out here. So Susan, if you could go through the screen and just recite and ask people to stand up the same way, and I will go ahead and do the same thing. But I'll let you.
I'm going to do it by the list I have, which is in alphabetical order by the office held.
Yep, that's good. Yeah,
Okay.
all of them will stand at the same time, and we'll do it as a group for the rest.
Okay, Walter, Runk.
Can you state what their roles are so that everybody could be reminded?
Okay, he's communications and marine safety.
I'm here.
Yes, I know you are here. I don't see Philippe, who is CS and IS. Scott here? No, I
No.
don't see Scott.
Hey, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, but all we've got is your phone number.
Yes,
So-
this is Philippe. Sorry, I couldn't log in by Zoom, but I'm here by phone.
Okay.
Scott,
Hey, make
thank
sure you, Scott, make sure you sign in. I guess you can't do that. I'll do it for you, or somebody will do it.
I think that was Philippe, Susan.
Scott for diversity. John Swink, finance. Dawn. Human
HR.
resources. John Rassanato, materials and navigation systems. Myself, member training. Luke, Georgette, operations. Mike Young, publishing. Bill Garvey, public affairs. Chris Jalapis, public education. Program visitor. Bob Gerber, I don't see him. Heather Hickey, Secretary of Records. Christoph, I don't see him, vessel exams. That's it.
Okay. All right, folks, if you could go ahead and stand up. And again, what I'm going to recite here is you have all offered your talents and services in the interest of Nevada Coast Guard Auxiliary. The pledge you're about to take admits you to the office of great responsibilities and high honors. Along with this honor, you must be prepared to accept certain obligations as well as the administrative and supervisory responsibilities of your office. Your task is to develop the auxiliary program to the maximum efficiency that conditions permit. You're expected to promote closer liaison between the auxiliary and the local Coast Guard unit, constantly reminding auxiliaries that their actions reflect not only on the auxiliary, but also on the Coast Guard. As a leader, you are charged with maintaining high standards in all auxiliary programs and activities, never compromising honesty and integrity. With this full realization of the demand of your office in terms of time, travel, and dedication, if you're willing to accept this honor, please raise your right hands and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly and sincerely pledge
Do solemnly and
solemnly and sincerely pledge
myself to support the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary
myself to support the United States Auxiliary
and its purpose
and its purpose,
promote its authorized activities,
promote it,
promote its authorized activities,
to properly discharge
to properly discharge
the duties of my office,
the duties of my office,
to abide by the governing policies
and to abide by the governing policies
established by the Commandant of the United States Coast Guard.
established by the Commandant of the United States Coast Guard.
Great, thank you so much. Congratulations. All right. And to many of you, I hope this is just an opportunity. I also want to say that there might be opportunities coming up as early if you are working and interested in possibly fulfilling an official future role. This is not just about working your way into certain things. Some of them may require some opportunities like acquiring first a qualification or having multiple of years of service or being a certain status, moving away from a AP status to a BQ status. Some of them do, actually most of our responsibilities do require that you actually be current on your training, which is obviously very important. But that being said, I hope all of you understand that COVID has certainly played a very big part and then a concerning part. I shared with you in my letter this actual month a little bit about what I call a Maslow's hierarchy of engaging United States Coast Guard auxiliaries. And I hope that you've enjoyed the reading. I want to reemphasize that service above else, service above self is a reflection of values that some of us obviously believe in. We wouldn't be here tonight. We wouldn't be considering giving not just the evening that we have, but certainly our talents and our services, and some of them, what I call our richness. We may actually have tools and certain assets or whatever that might be. So there's a different level of engagement. And so the charge that I have for all those new FSOs, and it doesn't go to just the FSOs, I call this a 1 + 1 = 3. I want everybody to consider what does it mean to be engaged. And if in fact there's something that Susan and I, as well as other members of the leadership, the FSOs, can do to engage you. It's for you to reach out to us, see how we can turn if I could call it the table in such a way so that you don't feel like you're just attending a meeting. This is not about filling up your email box. This is not about just paying your dues so you actually have that on your resume, your qualifications, or whatever you may do. Some of you are retired, not so retired, it doesn't make a difference. So you may have what is highlighted in Maslow's hierarchy of need, which is survival and security. We want to work. Susan and I this year want to continue on the work of previous leaders, is that we have a very good, strong, well-rounded group of individuals who are committed. Our central mission is the safety of the public. Obviously, the very mission of the Coast Guard is saving lives, saving lot properties, and saving the environment. And within the scope of that, there's so many things that we can do, even under COVID. COVID has been detrimental to the engagement of individuals. It is very hard for us to actually find a certain element of normalcy. We also have to be doing certain things that require us to be thinking about pivoting. Pivoting is moving away from the traditional way. We hope through the work of the Flotilla commander, the FSOs, and then other individuals and contributors, we're going to see us emphasizing the importance of our newsletter every single month. So as you saw in the newsletter, and for some of our newer members here on this panel, on this call today, you will get a copy of it, is to use that as a starting, a launching pad to actually start being a little bit, it's not an issue of being better. It's seeing how we can actually spread the word. So when we talk about 1 + 1, I want you to focus on an activity that you are wanting to do, but then eventually consider challenging yourself to do something new. There's online training, there's different activities that you can do, even under COVID. I certainly learned brand new that you can actually still conduct public education courses via online, via Zoom. Is it the best? No. by the way, you can still charge to do it. So my point is, you can still have, we are limited in our operations, you can still do certain activities. Member training, yeah, you cannot have people in a room. You cannot have a physical meeting. You cannot have a large gathering. But beyond that, there's a little bit more flexibility. And people have to be thinking about the fact that this COVID situation is not going to be improving for a long time. I was actually sitting at a meeting with the Citadel, which is where I work, and certainly working with people at the Department of Commerce, and they're talking about a continuation of this for the next 9 months. And then as a Flotilla, as a group of people who are trying to be engaged or trying to engage you, we may not get that what I call the highest level of engagement, which is, inspiring others, showing that love for being an auxiliarist. I call it a high flyer, a person who's constantly be thinking about the auxiliary. You may not be there, but we want to edge you, work you towards being almost engaged to fully engaged. And how can we do that? It's not just about going on a boat. It's not just going to a particular event. It's challenging ourselves. And for some of you, it's the time to do it. Some of you, you have questions. And so the challenge that I have, and the challenge I have for all the FSOs who've just been sworn in, is to answer the call. And don't forget, our job is to bring the best of what an auxiliarist can bring. And it's to actually provide and continue to add to the mission of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. Central mission is public education that was given specifically to us, the safety of the public. And beyond that is supporting the folks that actually are on the gold side. And that's what we want to do in creative ways, in safe ways. We still have to adhere, and I'm going to talk about it in the form of new business based on an email that was sent out to all of you. We still have to do it within the regulations. We still have to also do it within the form of being in the best interest of the United States Coast Guard. You'll hear later on, Don is going to be working later in the next couple of months to do presentations on uniform. It's not just about going to a meeting. It's not just about wearing the uniform. It's actually doing it aligned with the values, the regulations, the standing procedures in such a way. So I look forward to helping you all be successful, to being more engaged. I tell people that in my newsletter contribution, I will only see the measurement of me as a person on how well we have done this year on bringing that up. So we had John and Mike who worked so hard to maintain that status. We have not lost. We've had some people who've just moved on, but we have a very strong, large group. And so that's in thanks to people who've done the work before this past year. And we want to thank John and Mike for all that. And now, how can we maintain, diversify, exemplify, and allow this to happen? So I look forward to all that. And that's the kind of like the only message that I have as part of your Flotilla commander. So beyond that, I'm going to go ahead and want to introduce our guests. I believe at this point we only have one, which is Philippe Arki, who is visiting our Flotilla. If I could have Philippe take the time maybe to tell us a little bit about where you're from and what Flotilla, what experience, and what you're looking for, and that's it.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to visit and join with you tonight. I am originally from South Carolina. I grew up in Columbia. I lived down here from 1992 to 2004, at which time I left to go into seminary in the ministry. I've served in ministry from 2004 until just a few months ago, and retired from active pastoral ministry in Comanche, Iowa. And you complain about it being cold here. Well, it's been cold and snowing out there, and I rejoice every day that I'm not in that snow. But anyway, I love South Carolina. I love Charleston. I've been a boater all my life. In fact, the time I was here before, worked as a yacht salesman for Charleston Yacht Sales, and then for two other companies. And so anyway, I'm glad to be back. I retired, and my wife and I have returned home. We think, and are just loving being here. And as far as what I'm looking for an opportunity to serve, a place where I can fit in and serve as a member of a team that wants to do good work. So, David, I appreciate very much the things that you said just a few minutes ago about what your goals are for this coming year. So, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. Anybody has a question for Philippe? And Philippe, I apologize. So we have two Philippe. We have
He's
Philippe
Philippe
Grace,
and I'm
who's,
Phil.
He's Phil.
okay. All right. So we'll go by Phil.
Yeah.
And Phil, I apologize. I did not know your background when I acknowledged earlier a lay person, and when I asked you, I should have asked a general question to people. So, but maybe we'll call on you next time if you return back and visit with us and join our flotilla. So,
Well, and I'm actually in the process of becoming a Coast Guard chaplain. So that's a long process, but I'm engaged in that now. So that's one of the ways in which I want to serve.
very good. That's exciting. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Anybody wants to ask a question of Phil?
I do. I just want to
Okay.
introduce myself. Phil, I am the HR person. So if
Sure.
you do decide to join our flotilla, I would definitely be speaking to you either way and getting some information from you. And welcome back to South Carolina.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let me, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and go to, I would like to go ahead and call for a approval of the minutes that were circulating as part of the various invitation or emails. Any additions, concerns? I could have a motion.
So moved.
Okay, John Swink. A
I'll
second?
second. I'll second.
Okay, Bill Garvey, thank you so much. Okay, and then all in favor of voting our December minutes, please say aye.
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 Any objections? Okay, nice, thank you. All right, a couple of important announcements that I'm gonna list up here before we actually get into our staff report that Susan hopefully will highlight and work with the flotilla staff officers. I wanted to, there was a divisional meeting which happened, I believe, on was that the 10th? And some of the highlights, a couple of important ones. One is under the COVID requirements, yes, you can still have operations. Things can still happen. We did get PE items. So we're getting, by the way, 10 SAR vests that were requested, and they have been delivered to the division commander, who are then from Georgetown making their way down. So John Frastanito, you should be getting some communication or some contact. And then when he comes back into town for the delivery and the custody or exchange of it. There is a budget limitation. They're saying that we should be submitting $1,500. And John can speak to that in his report in a short while. But there are going to be some budget cuts. They don't know how much. A little bit of uncertainty. So they're just asking us to be patient. And for some of you who do recall, we did get an amount of about $1,200. Maybe John Swing can give us the exact dollar amounts that were given to us back from division for money under specific requirements for spending, which had to do with us delivering on the mission that we have. So it doesn't mean that we can go out there and have a big party, but it actually meant about buying equipment or doing something very central to our mission but we were supposed to actually spend the money by December 31st of 2020. And obviously that did not happen. COVID being what it is, it has been delayed and voted to actually December 31st of 2022. So that means that we have more time to actually plan it out. That means that the various Flotilla staff officers will have opportunities to be thinking long range. I know that part of our new items for business tonight, we actually have somebody who wants to introduce an idea, which is just a beginning conversation. And then we'll be possibly pursuing that opportunity as a Flotilla for potential investments of money. But I will eventually let other individuals talk about that. And beyond that, you obviously saw a pretty strong worded email. I don't know where that came from, but that actually came from the Division North. Then it's way up to Division 12, which had to do with uniform and equipment wearing at all times, whether that be the Coast Guard and then the auxiliary or with anything that has any of those insignias. So I've just also already hinted to you that Susan is going to be working with Dawn on providing various opportunities for training, short trainings in the coming months about the proper wear. But we are not to be wearing the uniform. We're not to be wearing anything that has Coast Guard. And they actually cited specifically equipment, including on water. I don't know if that came from other parts of the district, maybe down south. But that being said, we have to work to adhere. We have to obey by those standards, and that's what that is. So those are the highlights. Now, other individuals were at that division meeting. I think Don and Walter and Susan. There was also, by the way, a conversation about Zoom. We have our own account through the Citadel, but Susan also made a very strong case that at the division level, we needed to retain and maintain our account as a Zoom so that there's flexibility, which, by the way, opens it up, and Susan can speak to it from a training standpoint. But those were the larger conversation that I recalled. Anybody that was there wants to add anything to my recollections and notes?
There's a new checklist that is coming out for requalifications for coxswain, crew, etc. Anybody who's interested in that needs to check with Festus Birchfield. He's setting up the schedule for March. By March the 1st, it should be set up, and there will be a QE meeting in February where they will go over the new checklist. I don't think there are tremendous differences, but there are differences in it. Let's see.
Festus also sent an email with the new crew book qualification, or actually the new crew book that is an attachment to that email, so you can take a look at it.
Right, it's actually not one crew book, it's like 7.
Exactly.
They're divided into smaller pieces.
We'll just have Susan, maybe you can report back on that on the staff officer stuff. So.
That's fine.
Yep.
Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, I don't think I have any other comments that need to be added here. So go ahead, Susan, if you may please run our the staff, and just to also give a preview, Susan will tell a little bit about how hopefully the newsletter is a way for us to share preview information so that we can focus this meeting and conversation. So Susan, go ahead.
Right. What David and I have chosen to do this year is to streamline the meetings. And one way to do that is to have all the reports turned in well before the meeting so that they can be printed out in the newsletter so that people can read the reports before the meeting, which I think is great, because that way if something comes up you don't know anything about, you can ask about it at the meeting. I've done this in flotillas I've been associated with in the past. It makes a big difference. We would like for you to send your reports in by the 6th. You need to send one to me and one to Mike, so he'll have it for the newsletter. If I don't get one from you by the 6th, I'm going to start bugging you because we need to get them in absolutely no later than the 16th, because the newsletter has to come out. And it's really not fair to Mike to make him wait right to the end like that. So, and I'm a very good bugger. So we did extraordinarily well. We only had 2 staff officer reports that were not turned in out of 16 people. And I think that's amazing for this time. Even if you don't have a report, just send me no report. But you should have some kind of a report, even if it's just something that you were sent in an email, just an update on the situation. For example, vessel exams, we've gotten our decals in. You know, that's could be a report. Okay, I'm going to call for additions. Anything that was not in the report that you submitted that has already been published in the newsletter. That's all we're interested in. If you've already sent in a report and it's complete, just say no additions and we'll go on with life. Walter, do you have anything for either comms or marine safety that was not in the report that you submitted?
No, I do not.
Thank you. John, finance report. It was in the newsletter, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Just a couple of additional comments. One, David had mentioned the money that we got from division. That was $1,294.87. The other thing, just want to report out, I want to thank Susan and Philippe, who served as our audit committee this year. We met virtually to review the finances for last year, which basically was the annual financial report, all of the bank statements that we had, the documentation for all the disbursements that we had during the year. They found everything to be satisfactory. So we have the draft of the 7025 form. We'll get all the signatures on that and get that filed here. I would think by the end of the next week, we ought to be able to have all the signatures. And that's really it, Susan.
Thank you so much. Dawn, you and I have talked. You can talk about it if you want to. I am going to talk about future presentations, but please, do you have anything to add to the report that you turned in?
I do actually, upon review of the new HR guidelines that I received, I will be reaching out to some of them, well, to all of the members eventually. It may take me a while. I have to build a biography of each member, kind of like a file on you. So I will be reaching out to all of you either by email or by phone call, and hopefully keep it very brief. Also, if you are aware of any members that have kind of been off the grid that you have not seen or heard from, I need to know. I need to reach out to them. So if you could please just let me know who they are, so I can start reaching out to them as well as our retired folk. That is also one of the jobs that fall under the HRFSO. So that is all I have to add to that. I'll let you speak on the training, Susan. Thank you.
Dawn, why don't you come out with a very brief summary of the kind of information that you would like to have in the biographies? We could either put it online, put it in the next newsletter or something, and that way people could be prepared, or maybe even email them to you.
Yes, I am working on a worksheet with those questions, but that's a great idea. I can definitely expedite the process by doing it that way. Thank you.
Yeah, okie dokie.
Quick, I'm sorry, let me just comment if you don't mind. Don, beyond the worksheet is even a linked survey so that it's all in an Excel database per person. That way it's even fully cataloged. You don't have to either retype. So you could hopefully, send that on almost like a survey to each one of your questions, and it will populate into an Excel file.
An electronic form.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, yes, even better idea. Thank you.
Better you than me, Dawn. It's not my area of expertise. John, we've got materials and nav systems. Do you have anything to add?
He's switching his sound on. And by the way, while John does that, Phil, I have loaded up in the chat room our annual our monthly newsletter. So if you want to click on that to see it, you can actually see what was shared with the members.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to start with materials. I just put in Philip Poole's 300 stickers. I put them in the mail, and I had to get them in 2 envelopes because I didn't want to rip the envelope. So he's going to have 2 packages. They just went in the mail yesterday. If someone is such as whoever has a need for pamphlets, such as the marine dealer visitor person, if I happen to have the ones in my garage and you live in Mount Pleasant, I'll be happy to drop a box off at your doorstep. If not, I can place an order and I can have it sent to your house from the National Supply Center. That's no problem. I've been in contact with Eric White, who is our guest speaker at our August Flotilla meeting. And he's trying to send possible auxiliary candidates away because not everybody measures up to be a Coast Guardsman. So he needs documents and pamphlets. So I've been supplying him. As a matter of fact, I just sent him a couple of Coast Guard auxiliary posters. So that's it for materials. As far as navigation systems, in addition to being your flotilla staff navigation system officer, I've been appointed as a district navigation system person for Sector Charleston, and we're revamping the whole navigation system all the way around. We're modifying the 754 form, which is the report used to report discrepant private aids, bridges, or chart updating. And as you all know, we don't inspect ATONs unless we're specifically asked by the Coast Guard. We take care of private aids, and all the private aids are going to be documented with photographs in detail, and including bridges. And then we're going to be looking at charting. Sometimes it's hard to navigate on a surface patrol and see that there's a change in, say, a shoal, or things move around. So we may at one point call in Aux Air to take aerial photographs so we can match them up with charts and see if there's any changes. And the other problem is with bridges. Bridges all have what's called as a file number, and that's recognized, it's put out by Coast Guard and recognized all over. So a lot of people, they've been sending in discrepancies on bridges, and they haven't been fixed because people on the other end don't understand terminology that people have been using, and they've been discarding the original report because the bridges aren't getting repaired. So there's going to be a bridge database we're going to put together. But there'll be workshops, and I'll be working with the division navigation systems person, Dwayne Harris, and we'll be giving workshops in the spring. And we're going to keep a running database of maintained discrepancies reported by auxiliary members, and this will initiate any awards due to those who deserve credit for their hard work. So that's what I have to say. I respectfully submitted.
Thank you so much. And as he alluded to, we're going to have a special training session, not attached to a flotilla meeting for all NS officers. But that's got to wait until after they finish redoing everything. So I think John's got some really good stuff going on there, and I'm an NS officer, so I'm looking forward to trying to get this a little bit better organized than it has been in the past.
Susan,
Yeah,
can I
Neil,
ask John a question?
go ahead.
Sure.
John, it's Craig.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Those workshops you talked about, you're gonna have that this spring, is that just for the NS officers, or is that for anybody that wants to attend them?
Well, they're gonna be for members that have either the AV or AVPQS title. If somebody wants to take it, we'll have to arrange an AIDS Verifier PQS class.
Yeah,
At this time, we're trying to bring everybody else up to speed because we haven't been going on boats and you fit from year to year on what's the proper way to inspect a payton or bridge, whatever. So we want to keep bringing people up to speed, and we probably will have a class because I think there's approximately, I want to say, about 45 AIDS verifiers with the PQS on it, and maybe about 4 or 5 members that don't have the PQS. So if they're still interested in pursuing that field, then we're going to bring them up to speed and hold a regular class.
Hey, John, you're
But right
cutting
now
off
we're
a
trying
lot.
to work with what we have, because I don't want it that there's so many AIDS verifiers we haven't big on. Excuse me, David.
Hey, John, you're cutting off really awful.
Right now we want to keep bring everybody up to speed, and we're probably going to divide the paytons between flotillas. And I'm
Craig,
Yes,
that might be my internet. Sometimes I lose the Wi-Fi, but what I'm trying to say is that
John, like that's a lot of details. So thank Craig for the information. So I think what
Yeah,
Susan's
Susan.
going to try to get to is for some of you, the picture that Jean shared in the newsletter is important to remind ourselves of the things that actually go into boat safety and what role. And so maybe John will have you plan to actually make a larger contribution, but you're breaking off a lot and we're hearing only half of the words. So I recommend that we that we just think about moving on, Susan.
I will say this, Craig, if there is sufficient interest, a lot of the ATON stuff is PQS now. So we can certainly, if there is interest, we certainly can look at, we may have 45 people who are currently qualified, but a lot of them have not turned in reports in a long time. So just because they're on the books doesn't mean they're still active. The thing about ATON verifiers is you do not have to fulfill a minimum number to maintain your activity. Therefore, we could have people on that 45 list that hasn't seen the light of day doing any auxiliary activity for years. So anybody who's interested in anything is always welcome to get training in it, as far as I am concerned. Speaking of training, member training, we are going to have a TCT risk management refresher. We're supposed to have it 15 months, within 15 months of the last time we had one. We had one last February the 8th. So I would like to push for that no later than March. The current caveat to this is if we're doing a Zoom meeting for something like this, we can have no more than 12 people in a session. So we're going to have more than one of those risk management sessions. Who needs to have the risk management refresher? ATON verifiers, comms, let's see, take that back. Crew, coxswain, PWCs, QEs, PQS, nav systems people, TCO qualified, and watch standers. Anyone who falls into any of those categories who have somehow never had the original Introduction to Risk Management, that is done online. It's about an hour long to do that course. Comms people, marine safety people, operations people, other than what we've talked about, member trainers, nav system people who aren't PQSs, public affairs people. You have to have the initial course, Introduction to Risk Management, that you take online. You do not have to have the refreshers. Okay, I don't know any information yet on any other required workshops. When I find out, when we've got these TCT risk management refreshers scheduled, I will let you know, and we'll have several sessions, and it'll be on a first come, first served basis to sign up. I've been working with several people. The goal is to have a brief Flotilla meeting and then to have a general interest training session following the meeting, no more than 20 to 30 minutes. Dawn and I have talked about having two separate training sessions. One is the same thing that came out the other day, kind of, which is wearing proper uniform at the time. What they were talking about in the all aux that everybody got, that David was alluding to, was wearing pieces of a uniform. For example, somebody's out on a boat and they're a crew, they're a coxswain, they've got their own PPE through the Coast Guard, but you can't wear that when you're not under orders. You have to have your own stuff. You cannot wear the Coast Guard stuff. People need to wear the uniform properly. I put on this winter dress blue that I've got on. And as I was putting it on, because it's been cold all day, I've been freezing all day. So I put this on instead of the other because it's heavier. And all of a sudden I realized I needed a tie. So I had to look through my stuff and find where the tie was, because it's been so long since I had it, since I've worn this, that I had forgotten that. And I would have been out of uniform. I do have fuzzy slippers on, however.
Susan?
Yes.
Quick question on the TCT.
Yeah.
TCT refresher, I thought we have to do the full-blown 3-hour course every year.
It's 4 hours.
Before,
It's
what
not 3. Yeah, that's the TCT refresher. The introduction is the short one. The TCT refresher is between 3.5 and 4 hours. And yeah, just about anybody who's involved in anything active has got to take it. But this year, we got under the gun last year and actually had a meeting, but this year we'll have to do it virtually. And I will let those people who need to have that will be informed as soon as I've got these things scheduled. I'm working on it now. The other thing, I've talked with Philippe. Things have changed with IS. I'm an information systems officer, and I must say that Aux Data has been extremely frustrating for me. Philippe has done an incredible job. The handout he has got for filling out your hours on the 7029 is top notch. Could not be any better. In fact, it is so good that I've asked him to prepare 2 separate things on areas that individuals need as well. For example, now, if you change your email, if you have any of your information that changes, you got a new phone number, whatever, you are the person who now is going to be entering that into Aux Data. It's not going to be it's no longer an IS officer's purview to do that. He's going to make a presentation on how to do that. It's not that hard, but, and the other thing is, please check the back of your ID and see when it's going to expire. There is a process through the D7 help desk. I'm going to have him do a brief presentation on that also, so that you'll know how to request your new card. And by the way, the flotilla commander no longer has to take the picture. You can take the picture with the red background at home. I went to the Dollar Tree and got a red tablecloth for $1. And that's what we used for our backgrounds when my husband and I renewed our cards the last time. So it's totally different. And so those are 2 of the things. And then John, as we mentioned, we've talked about specialized courses for people who are now assistance people, that will not be a part of these brief presentations. The brief presentations are general interest. They apply to everyone in the auxiliary, and they won't last any more than 30 minutes after the briefer meetings that we are going to be having. That's it for me. Anybody have any questions about member training?
I have a quick comment.
Yep.
Anyone's not comfortable with taking their own photo or have a red cloth, I'm more than willing to meet with you and take a professional headshot. Well, semi-professional anyway, headshot to send in for you. And also with the training, Susan, just to add on that with the uniforms, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be having a brief video that can just circulate to begin with on how to fold your sleeves properly. So that will be the first set of videos that will come out.
Yeah, there is a YouTube video on that.
There is.
I swear. Oh, well, I know some people who actually have two ODU tops. They have one that they keep the sleeves all the time rolled up, and the other one that they have down. And frankly, I think that's a great idea. But whatever. Luke, ops.
Yep. Not much to add to ops. You have the report, you know what the goals are. The only thing that I know of, I was informed by Lieutenant Grieger, who is back to our liaison for the Ox, that there may be a resolution I was informed of that 2 weeks ago about the mishaps of June 26th. However, he was waiting for the chain of command to approve it. I do not know what it is, and that's about all I know. So at this point in time, we're still shut down as far as ops are concerned. That's all for me.
Thank you. Bill Garvey, Public Affairs.
Really, nothing much to add. Just a side note. I am a little surprised to see that the Charleston Boat Show is still on, and Southeastern Wildlife was canceled.
Yeah.
And I'm continuing profiles for the newsletter. That's about it for now.
Thank you very much. Mike, anything for
on a calendar standpoint? I also heard that the 25th of April, the Blessing of the Fleet is also moving forward. Mount Pleasant actually decided to host the event, which will be mostly people on the water. So that's something for Luke. Yes, operations are shut down, but somehow finding a way, hopefully by then, to have some kind of coverage and planning it. So it's Sunday the 25th. I understand from also Walter.
February, correct?
April 25th.
April. Hopefully we'll have things set up, a reset, and ready to go by then.
Yep. But there's also Sailing Week that's coming up in April too. So
right.
A few events that hopefully will be resolved. So.
Okie doke. Publishing, Mike, just thank you. That was a great newsletter. You got anything to add? You're muted, Mike.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Susan, I'm good.
Okay, thank you so much. It was a great newsletter. Chris, what about public education? Dawn, demute him.
Sorry.
She did. So I got the schedule put out for the whole year with the Daniel Allen Library. I know we canceled the first 2 months already. Hopefully we can get some more classes going. Zoom is a good idea. Just got to figure out how to do it. I know it's 8-hour course is a long time to sit on Zoom.
Yeah.
So we'll probably have broken down to maybe 2-hour segments 4 times or something like that
I think
to do something different.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That is going to be a challenge. God bless you.
Hey, Don, Sean,
Chris?
sorry, Don, Sean, Chris, yes. Chris, let's make sure you talk to Barbara Barshfield, because she's indicated that as long as we follow the slides, that other parts within, I guess, other parts of the district have been able to still deliver the course in 6 hours because there's less breaks. So the point is, it might be able to be digested. The good news is we can still charge people for it to put the effort, but beyond that, there could be a process by which we need to work with John Swink, possibly on just kind of like the process of how people would register. And then from the registration, it will lead them to eventually getting a Zoom link. And the Zoom link will then give them to the choices of having the delivery. I do also know that John Frasonito is also interested in becoming an instructor qualified. So this is where I think I want to bring back up that this is both serving the public, meeting the mission, continuing to fill John Swink's coffers, our great banker. But beyond that, it's also meeting the need of individuals, because John Frasonito is very interested in becoming an instructor qualified. So let's see how we can possibly get this as a subgroup together to make sure that we have that down, because we're going to be out for 9 months. The boating public is out. More boats are being sold. More people are on the water. And so it doesn't change anything. So let's just see how we can possibly put our heads together and make that happen.
Okay,
Yeah,
welcome to have John as instructor.
I looked at it, and to me, the trickiest part is going to be the testing. But we'll have to see.
Okay.
Life is full of challenges now, isn't it? Challenge,
Quite a
such a
few.
good word. Okay, Heather, thank you so much for taking the recorded Secretary of Records, or whatever ESR stands for. I really appreciate it. Do you have anything, dear?
I have nothing to report at this time. I did print out what is expected of me as Secretary and Records Staff Officer, but if there's anybody who wants to give me a little bit of a quick tutorial on what I'm supposed to be doing on a regular basis, that would be greatly appreciated. Because I'm not really sure.
Oh, well, don't you worry. We'll get it straight. Okay, and that wraps it up for me.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Any other comments on reports from any other groups? Okay, let's dive down to a couple of items on the new business, a couple of topics, and the people who may, and there's no, by the way, open issues that I know of at this point that I can recall. So maybe I'm missing something. This is the opportunity from anybody on the call. Is there any kind of open issues beside going to new business? And new business will be Walter, Philippe will quickly talk about systems and tax forms. And then I want to give a second also to Dawn to talk about the weather spotters, just, shortly. So anybody has...
Yeah, I have a question. How can we get the VE stickers? Who has them?
Okay, so I have the stickers. I'll be working to, Christophe was going to be the person responsible for this, and he's out of town, but I think he is going to be looking at being too busy. So we will be reassigning what's called the inspector, the sticker person. That's it. We're going to make that announcement. And so, but in the meantime, Luke, I will send you 20 stickers in the mail so that you don't have to be delayed.
I only have one window on my boat.
Well,
never mind. I'm just, this is a joke.
Hey, David, on that subject, what I didn't quite understand about, well, it was Christophe, you're supposed to request the stickers, but there's some sort of process. He said in there, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, I saw that too. I didn't understand.
What I'm sorry, what is that again?
There was something in the write-up is not only just that Christophe has the stickers, that there is some sort of forms or process you have to go through to get the stickers.
No.
There was that in there. I saw it.
I think it may have been a miss. I'll have to go back. If you get stickers, you have to submit the reports. We've had people who have been using stickers, being assigned stickers, getting the stickers, and it's not just the report that you give to the person you do the inspection, you have a responsibility to go into the system, into aux data, and actually reporting that you did that activity.
Correct.
So we have a lot of stickers that have been issued, but we do not currently have. We have an allowance of 640 stickers, and we've actually not had 640 reported, whether it be inspections. So the person conducting those inspections can't just go out there and fill out the actual physical paperwork with that owner of the boat. They actually have to go into aux data and say that on that day they conducted that evaluation.
A couple of other things for me. I received a request for all radios on all facilities to make sure that they were operational. And most people answered me back that they were operational. However, they have not been checked. So we have to go on and somehow check the radios that are operational, for one thing. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but we need to do that. And I forget what the other thing is. It'll come back to me.
So Luke, that's actually the function of the, Walter will now be taking on that role, and that's what he actually, there's a form and there's a process, and now he is in the system as the person who does it. So the actual FSO communications, CN actually does the inspection, forwards it to individuals, and then it goes into aux data. So
That's perfectly fine, but I mean, if they send me the report, I need to answer back what the situation is. The other thing that just came back to me is that two things. I am not sure when is the last time we checked the PPE GPS systems on our jackets, on our saw vests. That has not been done in a while. So they may be out of batteries or something like that. We need to go on and do something like that as well.
Yes.
And then the other thing is that all facilities operationals are probably going to have to be checked as well pretty soon, especially if we have a resolution to the June 26 mishap, and then we get back to operations normal. We're going to get busy, and it would be a good idea to make sure that all the facilities that we have been approved and in the system. So I'm not sure who does that either.
I would think that would be you, my dear. Lucky you. Mine is not due till May. I know that already. Walter checked that for me. That's how I know, because he did it.
all right, so let's make some notes. We will try to close out. So I will give it the charge, John Frassanito, as the materials person. Let's just close that as an item to make sure that we actually make sure that equipment that has been issued is been tested and up to par. On the radios, if it could actually have Walter coordinate and work back and report to Luke, so that in fact he can report back on this issue of radios are both operational but also been inspected, so it meets those requirements. So let's do that. All right. So let me go back to new business. Walter, actually, that's one of our new items considerations. If you could just introduce your item or concept, and then I promise everybody that we'll do further discussions and maybe break it up as a subgroup and study group. But if you could discuss what you wanted to bring up to the group.
Okay, we're looking at building a communications trailer. This is a trailer that's available to us. The idea being to convert it from a mobile lighting tower, which is what it was born as, to a mobile radio station. I will put together a design plan and a budget and a parts list and present that at some point in the future. And there should be an opportunity for anybody that likes to do the, setting up that kind of equipment to participate. Nothing immediate, but I just wanted to put that on the list of things to do this year. Any questions?
And also, by the way, Walter's idea fits into if we do support the bridge run, and if we have other events with multiple of units, the communications process, if people are qualified as TCOs, you can actually have our own auxiliary land station where we don't actually have our guard being picked up by sector. We can actually work it to actually have a land radio auxiliary station take the guard of an actual of a facility. So if we actually had 2, 3, 4 facilities, we could actually have a comm center and almost like a net control for this event that is auxiliary in nature. So just wanted to say that's a concept that has a lot of merit. So look forward to having more details and a more a true business plan, and then possibly some goals and some budgets and some configurations. So, and I know Walter loves doing design in 3D, so it should make for an interesting conversation. Okay, Philippe, can you quickly mention a little bit about systems? And I know people have done a great job at reporting their hours, continuing to fill up. I just want to say that we had a great group of people who actually should be commended for the hours submission. We have at least over 9,000 hours for 2020, and that's only submitted by a fairly small group of already the Flotilla. So feel very grateful that some of you are so active. We actually had so many people who actually award or earn awards or for various recognition, achievements as far as qualifications, but also other things, including hours and various activities. So, Philippe, if you could just take it.
Yeah, just what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of people that made an effort to submit the hours. It's a new system. We're still in the growing pains, but so far, everybody that I was in touch with was able to access the system and log in the hours, whether it was 2 or 3 hours attending the meeting, or somebody like Phil Poole, who is extremely active even during COVID times and has been putting in a lot of effort in spreading the wealth of knowledge by teaching others as Coast Guard support. So kudos to everybody. I was glad to see also fairly new members reaching out and declaring the hours. I want to remind everybody, and for the old timers, I feel like I'm repeating myself all the time, but it's very important because those hours are not just here to give you medals and ribbons and awards, but they are the core of the auxiliary system funding. By reporting those hours at a higher echelon and finally at the national level, this is how the Coast Guard Auxiliary and the Coast Guard is able to assign funding for our operation and our support to that big organization. So while you might think it's not a big deal whether I declare 5 or 6 hours here and there, when you multiply this by the number of coasties and it makes it its way to a government desk for funding requests, it does end up having a significant impact. So thank you again for everybody. Traditionally, at the end of every year, we used to be able to write, to run a report, mostly for tax purposes, that summarize the number of hours that you put in the year as well as the mileage that was declared. It's not going to be a surprise when I tell you that the report is the red-headed stepchild of the AUX Data 2. Those reports do not exist as CAN report for everybody to run. They're difficult to find, and we're still struggling in finding some of the mileage and expense fields to pull into the traditional report. That being said, if you do need such report for your tax filing purpose, please reach out to me directly, send me an email, and I'll be glad to go in the system and see what I can do to report that for the year 2020. Be aware, though, that due to the very large volume of submission, I've been trying to go through all your submission as they come in within a few days, and I believe I'm pretty much reviewed and validated everything. But there's another layer at the DSO level that also needs approval, and that is the step that is required for the record to be officially committed as approved. So I may run some reports. Some of the hours may be in pending status. Just know that this is the inherent limitation of the system. I myself had to process thousands of transactions. I cannot imagine at the DSO level how many more they had to do. So it's there. Just reach out to me if you need anything. I will make it happen for you.
Thank you, Philippe. Any questions that people have? So just the big part here is that if you're requiring something for tax purposes, for incoming or planned tax filing, please reach out to Philippe to make sure that he can try to facilitate in getting you the basic information that you may actually need with the hope. So again, Philippe, thank you for the work. Thank you for the patience. I know you spent a lot of hours meeting with the individuals. Philippe has been great, and I know from hearing from members actually sitting through, even using Zoom to actually walk people through various training, and so it's been very helpful for everybody. So again, big thank you for that. So, all right, if I could just have Dawn quickly mention the program that she actually participated in, that actually was part of the newsletter. It's a program that's not an affiliated Coast Guard, but it's something that if you could just, we're going to have that person hopefully come in as a guest, but if you could just give us a 1 minute, what you did and what value was it for you, if you could talk about the program.
Yeah, it's weather spotters. Basically what it is you just learn to identify different weather anomalies, wind, hail, tornado, whirlpool, whatever the case may be, and just learn to identify and report. It is a program through NOAA, and it is very informative on basic weather. And they need these spotters around everywhere just to assist with weather reporting, specifically like tornadoes, because certain weather patterns and damage patterns could signify, a tornado. Whereas if they don't have that valuable information from the public, very often they're not reported correctly. So, these types of programs are very important. It was very educational. It didn't take long at all. It was pretty easy. It's a very basic course. And the gentleman that hopefully I can get on pretty soon will be talking to you about that program, as well as a few others that we can easily do. Now, they do not fall under any of our PQS. However, there is a weather PQS. So it may lead up to the information that will help you and assist you with obtaining that PQS in weather. So it's just a little, extra thing you could do from home, if you're, not having enough to do in between all this paperwork and Oxdata 2. So just check it out. It's a very good program.
Thank you so much, Don. Yes, I recommend it. What Don was talking about, a little bit difference between a PQS and an actual course, but there is an Ox weather specifically, and you can actually take the test online after actually going through the content. So for some of us who actually have the operational device, we've actually taken that course, and it is currently available to people. So, and Susan certainly can answer some questions there. So thank you so much. I don't believe that we have any other new business or new topics, unless people want to ask or share or ask for clarification. I appreciate Craig's asking good questions. And also, I think Mike is very appreciative of the fact that you read the newsletter in detail to actually point out to that. So we certainly appreciate it. John, it looks like you want to talk.
David,
Yep.
I just wanted to add to tell everybody, if you're gonna go out and do a program visit or do a vessel examination, you must notify the flotilla commander what you're doing so he's aware of what's going on the field. So
Thank you,
that's
John.
anything that you do outside. So I just want to make that aware.
Yep. Thanks you, John, for reminding that. If you are and you have to officially be. So we had Mr. Poole do some missions where he had to travel. I know that Bob Gerber notified me that he's doing his walkings. But so if you're doing anything and going to a particular area and reporting to on station, yes, you have to do so. The same way you have to follow COVID requirements and protocols. And I believe, Don, you reported that there were some restrictions going on bases, both at Flexi, but other parts of the area of our AOR in regards to various, whether it be Trad Street, just due to COVID number of cases. Is that correct? And so there's some limitations anyway on access.
Yes, that's changing week by week, just depending on what's going on. So it's always good to call ahead and check and see what those changes are before you head that way, because if somebody tests positive, you're not getting in.
Yep. And I want to remind something that John made very pointed last year. You are not to engage in any activities that puts your personal health in any way, form, or shape in jeopardy. So, none of it that we do is so critical. We don't get to be deployed. We follow a chain of management and a chain of leadership. Yes, sometimes we have orders, but that's just for purposes of coverage. But we are, in fact, civilian volunteers. We are the volunteer guardians of America's volunteer gardens. And as such, we value and bring contribution by, first of all, being safe. And I think that was made very clear from the division down. So, and I think that's it, folks. I would like to go ahead and then close the meeting and then ask for somebody to make a motion to do so.
So moved.
All right, Craig, second.
Second.
Oh, Joe, yep. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We have our next Flotilla meeting, which is going to be February 18th. And please, for various individuals, the last piece I want to say is Mike Young you don't have to be an FSO to submit to the newsletter. The same way Bill Garvey may write articles. Hopefully we can work to bring the good word of the auxiliary within, for example, a local footprint. We could actually go out there in Moultrie News or whatever. So there's ways for us to interact in and out. Bill is not the one who writes all the stories. He could actually help you be part of writing other stories. And so let's just make sure that when we talk about boat safety, we talk about what people are doing, whether we, let's just spread the word of who we are as a group. So thank you so much for being here tonight. I will see you in February, if not before. Please send me an email with any kind of questions in any way, form, or shape I can support. And Phil, we hope that we made a good enough impression on you. Maybe you'll consider joining us. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night, folks.
Night.
Night.